All right, today I'm having a conversation with Adam Vanderkin, candidate for Bedford County Mayor. Adam, it's good to sit down with you again.
It's nice to sit with you again.
Yeah, so tell me, how are things going on the campaign trail? What are you seeing? What are you hearing? What do you think's going on out? What are people thinking?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that the campaign trail has been busy, and it's important to get out there among the people, and I love doing that. And it's been really nice to engage with people and see what they think and what they're concerned about.
Yeah.
Um,
So what are they concerned that you've seen at this point? What's the big topic everybody wants to talk about?
mhm. I think people are very concerned about development in the area, as we've seen a lot of development in the building of these subdivisions and other housing and such, without building of our infrastructure. I think
Right.
that's something that people are concerned about. I've heard that repeatedly, like most recently, the Remington Farms,
Yeah.
petition out there for them trying to build that. People are very concerned on
Yeah.
Facebook and also out at the different events, people that I talk to. I think that.
Let me ask you this.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt, but this Remington Farms, of course, it's going to city council,
Mhm.
possibly going back to the city's planning commission
Right.
for another a review of some changes. I think is taking place.
Yeah.
Do you think that the people in the county fear that a development like that is going to come and it would be hard to handle in the county? Do you think that's part of the issue, or?
Yeah, I do. And I think that people, what I've really seen, it's all across the board as I've been to these different events. And, I really get out there. I'm to everywhere from, Unionville
Right.
down to Flat Creek. Just all over the place. And people overwhelmingly are concerned with just that our area is not ready for that. I know we've
Right.
had that before. They've had some other subdivisions that have gone in. And just the lack of attention to our infrastructure, like your water, your
Right.
power, not thinking through some of the other things that might be not as always considered when you're building such a large project like that, like the one for Remington Farms, for instance. 400 new homes out there. You're talking 800 cars on the road addition,
Yeah.
to what they have already. So anybody who's driven up and down that area during certain times of the day, you can tell it's very busy. It's busier than what it was even 5 years ago.
I would say that's a path for you a lot
Mhm.
coming through on 41A. isn't it?
Right.
Yeah.
That's very, very busy. If you're not coming from Tullahoma, you're coming down either 41 or 231. So, and especially like 41 is not 231, nor do we,
Yeah.
I think, want it to be either. I know I myself don't want it to be like that. I know there's a lot of other people that really like the smaller town feel,
Right.
and not just feel, but the actuality of it being a smaller town. They don't want it to be Murfreesboro. They don't want it to turn into Tullahoma, the explosion over the last 10 years.
Right.
They don't want that here.
Right.
And that's what I think I've seen people fear with some developments like this. Also, the really lack of accountability, how you have, or even the development, LLC that's in there, they're putting in this development, and that they're not planning or thinking or maybe even caring about some of the stuff that's left over after they build up these areas,
Right.
and then they blow town, and then we're left to pick up the pieces on that.
Yeah.
I think that's something that people are really concerned about. I've really asked people about that. I've had people approach me about that. I think that goes also hand in hand with people thinking, and I don't know how much of this there really is. I know that there is some I've heard about, definitely some key areas where people have taken some money and such, and maybe not thought of the people, and they have really done some things that have been kind of a corruption way, and we've seen that. We had a certain name attributed to that,
Right.
and people know what I'm talking about. So they don't like that. They don't like that type of backdoor deals.
Right.
Those systems that where somebody's making these closed door meetings with 1, 2, 3 people, whatever, and making stuff that making these deals that people don't get to see, or even after we've already had these meetings, not myself, but other people have had these meetings, and that, they make these other deals outside that, and that
Right.
they are not there working with the people who they're supposed to be. And it seems really shady. And so people don't like that either. Heard a lot of people say they really don't like that, it seems like people are getting their pockets lined, and, not
Right.
counting for the people, when there was a large turnout for this last meeting that they had at the Remington Farms, for instance.
Oh yeah,
And overwhelmingly, a lot of people said, explain their displeasure in that. And, you only had one person that stood out, that said, hey, maybe that's not such a good idea. Maybe we shouldn't
Right.
continue forward with this, and I'm grateful that somebody was stood up. But it's going to take more than one, I think.
Yeah.
We're definitely going to have your next mayor, your next county commissioners, these other people, these elected positions
Right.
who are going to have to stand up for the people and be here together to continue to build our area.
Do you hear any frustration from people that maybe they feel like they're not being represented like they should? Do you hear that from people, or it seems like there's a lot of folks that just don't pay attention, and they're starting to pay attention a little bit maybe, and they're starting to wake up to the fact. Do you hear people talking about, hey, I don't even know who my commissioner is? I get that a lot. Do you hear that?
I hear that. Also hear that they don't know the districts. Like they don't know, am I in the 3rd district, 1st, 5th, whatever. They don't know that, which I know some of the lines are a little interesting, but people definitely, I think, have felt that way, that they've come to me and said, wow, I don't feel like I'm really represented. I asked them about coming out and voting, like, hey, can you make sure you come out and vote? It's really important. And they'd say, well, I don't know if they really listen to me, or I feel like if anybody cared,
Right.
I felt really sad to hear that people, thought that they didn't matter, because I think really they do, and that their voice does matter.
Right.
That the people who are coming out should be voicing their opinions and should be interested. Now, I know people don't always have the time to be involved in all the different things, constantly, but it's important for them to at least get some information out there as to what's going on, and to not only vote, but to be aware of key issues that could really change the face of Bedford County.
Outside of the development situation, I know a lot comes with that. You mentioned the water, you mentioned electricity, the wastewater situation that we've had, and we've got that committee that's been formed to talk about that. And I don't know if you've seen this, but just in the last few days, the state legislature is looking at passing a bill for TDEC to go and up their standards on these wastewater systems, like the step systems and the drip systems that are out there.
Right.
And maybe there's something will happen at the state level, because it seems like at the county level, we're not really prepared for that. And you look at Wilson County, the representative from Wilson County is the one that brought this to the table. And that's a step in the right direction. Then you also look at another topic that's come up, is the county employee being able to run for office and hold county office. All right, that's at the state level now being tossed around. Do you hear any of this type talk out there, or is it just pretty much just the development? We don't want this development. Are you hearing a wide range?
I've definitely seen it as people, how we've had these connections, within Bedford County. I know it's very unique to that, and not that we are solely unique to it, because there are other areas in this great country that we live in that have had this problem too. But you have somebody that somebody that you're, it's your cousin or something like that, and so you're going to kind of take care of that person, instead of really, again, taking care of the people, or building out things that are right. So I think that's going to help with some of that, getting some thinking about the people that might be benefiting from something, might be a conflict of interest. You look back at some of our, I don't want to throw any names out there, but you look at some people in Congress, that are benefiting from things that shouldn't be. There's some definitely big evidences of conflict of interest.
How does somebody, not mentioning any names, that gets elected as a bartender and then comes into Congress, and they were basically, low net worth, and then 4, 5, 6 years later, their net worth is $30 million. How did that happen? Does Congress make that much money? And if you look at the salary of Congress, it's nothing like that. So how does that happen?
It's like 175 grand or something like that. So you're like, wow, your investments must be really paying off.
Multi-millionaire all of a sudden.
Yeah, that's food. And she's, not the only one.
Right? No, all of them. It's crazy.
Yep, there's a couple more I can think of, where you're like, wow, that's very wrong. That's very corrupt, or hey, I sold those stocks right at the right time, right before this big bill came out. You're like,
that's interesting.
Huh.
And then their foundation, they all have foundations too. We've kind of jumped over into some of the national politics, but it filters down to all of us.
Oh yeah,
eventually. What are some other things that you're hearing out? Anything in particular? What about schools, education? You hear Ethan talk about that? That's always in the topic at the top of the list. Do you hear anything about that or?
We do. People are definitely liking the TCAT, building and program. Right. They think that that's a really good, positive step, in our future, and that people have opportunities to become educated and to help better, themselves and help better their families, so affording them opportunities within the area so they don't have to leave, the area. So people really like that. They like that was thought through and then built up and everything. Another thing is definitely jobs. I've definitely presented my opinion on that, how I think that we should go back to the way things used to be when we used to have, these bigger companies that were out here that had, employed hundreds of people and, people like that. People really very much agree with me on that. They very much say, that they think this is an opportunity.
So how do you get a company to come like that? We've had this debate. Well, not a debate, but a conversation I've had with several people over years, and everybody's got a different idea on how you dangled a carrot to get a big company to come in. Yeah. And what's your thoughts on that? I mean, how would you go about trying to recruit a larger company? Look at Cooper Steel. It was grassroots right here in town. Yeah, it really started here. And you look at what it's done for our community. How do you get something like that? Another Cooper Steel. How do you do that?
Well, I mean, I'll use a couple of examples, which I had in my other interview was, like Lockheed Martin or Stanley Tools or something. Those are good examples. They employed, hundreds of people out here, we're really here to help the people. But I think it's going to start with your leadership. It's going to start with your mayor's office. They have to be willing to work with that company and allow that company to come in. And if they're not willing to do that, then it's going to be really hard. Those companies are going to say, well, why would I build out there when they're forcing me, to build on 231? Right. Or man, I'm really forced to do that. Or they're against, building at all, in certain areas. Maybe we want to build out in some other area. We don't want a bunch of legislation. We want a bunch of help. Right. So it's also going to help with the county commissioners too. It's going to come from them. So your county commissioners, which is very important for this election as well, because we're going to get some change out there. So that's for the people as well. So as long as they are willing to work with those companies and allow them to come out and build and to do the things they want to, then that's going to be a very positive impact. I mean, you have an example. I'll give you one, which was that Newton, Dodge, and Chrysler out there? Yeah. So they wanted to build out in Unionville. They wanted to build out an area out there, and was told no, by the county government. Really? Yeah. County government said no, told them they couldn't do that. And they said they wanted to build this big facility and everything. Now that's a rural area, and I understand that, and it's important. And, but there are definitely some bigger areas where you could say, okay, this is where, John Smith out here wants to sell his farm or wants to do that for whatever. Okay, sure. Let them do that. We're not building it a whole bunch up, but if they say, hey, I want to build this facility out in this area and it's not on, let's say 231, or it just wants to be built at all. Yeah. Let them do that.
Well, you have a highway like 41A or 231. Yeah. I know everybody looks at 231 North as the go-to place, but you've got other options as well. You got 41A coming through, intersecting town and going out into the county, and it's a state highway. It's a high traffic highway. It's an obvious place for a commercial business like a car dealer. I mean, I don't get why we would say no to that. Unless we're trying to pigeonhole everything in one direction, and that's not good.
That's what I was told many times, that they said people, and these are people who've been here these are lifers, right? People who lived in Shelbyville or Bedford County their whole lives. Right. And they said, yep, that's what it's been kind of pigeonholed into, like you said, that, hey, if you want to come in and you want to bring your business, it has to be on 231. And if you don't want that, like if you don't like that idea, then nope, you can kick rocks. Yeah. And it was like, wow. That's what I've been told what's been going on, and that also other development in some other areas has been some very much turned down. And then just that, we can't seem to like the idea of going back to the way things were, to where we had these companies that came out that built up a better area for their people out here. I think that, you could see even the walking horse, kind of winding down from the way it used to be, like in 2015 or 2016, when there used to be 30,000 people coming out, on a regular night, not even the main final nights.
Yeah.
Now we're at like 15,000.
Oh, less than that on those nights.
Even on finals,
yeah.
You're like, man, where are the people at?
Yeah.
So, I can't put all my eggs in that one basket, nor can I really rely on a lot of other companies here, because it's just not a healthy area. And you can tell that by the allowing of some other buildings to come in, some other businesses. I think that we need to be more open to these different, companies coming in. I think also the beautification of the areas can do that too. Your derelict buildings, they're sitting there right on, I can't think of the main street when you go into the square, not Spring Street, but the following street over, derelict buildings just sitting there.
Yeah.
That's not exactly say an opportunity where somebody's looking at that saying, wow, it's such a nice area. Gosh, I'm so glad I get to have all my people coming up to this area that, my big wigs are coming up here and they got their suit coats and all that stuff from somewhere else.
Yeah.
That kind of turns people off.
One bad decision here, and it stockpiles.
Yeah, it really does, because people see that and say, man, if they're not taking care of that.
Right.
And, especially if it's owned by the city or by the state or the county, they say, man, what's going on? Why are they not taking care of that? I think your improvement on your roads and the care for that within areas is important as well. There's key roads that are, got some really bad jobs done to them.
Yeah.
You don't have to replace the whole thing, but there's definitely something you can look at and say, okay, this is where we need to fix that road up in this area and improve that. So just things like that. Those are some starter points. There's a lot to it, but those are definitely some key areas.
Yeah. What do you think about our workforce here? Do you think our workforce is conducive for some of these companies locating here? I know you mentioned TCAT, and that's got to be a boost, a shot in the arm for our local workforce. Mm-hmm. But as you see it now, how much improvement do we need to grab one of these large companies so that the employees are here? Have you heard any talk about that, or you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah. One person did say he thought that, and this was kind of in opposition to what I was thinking about, was, because like I said, I'm for bringing the companies in here and building here. And his thought was, oh, well, they'll need to bring in all their employees. Well, that's a misunderstanding of how companies work. And because I've been around these bigger companies, I know how they employ people. They don't just bring in everybody.
Right.
They'll have some people, sure. And then there'll be some people that you want to hire from the local area, as long as they're well educated, or they educated enough for that industry, whether you're going to be a pipe fitter or you're going to be a nurse or a neurosurgeon, whatever that is for the area. Now, we don't have a lot of neurosurgery in this area,
right?
Demands, but still, there's some of that out there.
Probably needed though.
I'm sure. Right?
There's always those type of needs.
Yeah.
But
I think I think we do have some people here that are educated enough for a lot of different fields, and that they have to leave the area right now. To go to work. They have to go out to Tullahoma. They've got to go to Murfreesboro. They got to go to Nashville, Franklin, whatever, to have a job. And I think we can really help with that. We can bring back those jobs, bring back the companies, be really supportive of them, supportive of our real local companies. Something even simple, could be like a farmer's market that we could have on the square. It seems like when we have these events out there that people come out, people are there, and you're like, wow, it looks like people really want that. That's something that I think that we can have. I know there is one farmer's market, but people don't really know a lot about it because, again, I don't think it has a lot of support.
Right.
So I know we have one now, but it could be bigger. They could have different booths, and they could set out different areas. You can pay for your 10 by 10 or 15 by 15 area, and people come out and, sell their wares or whatever that may be. We definitely need to kind of go back to a lot of that community support and, really helping the people.
Well, you were mentioning the celebration, the walking horse industry earlier. Yeah. This is a conversation I have quite obviously. I'm in that business and I'm kind of in the middle of that stuff. Yeah. But something that I've seen is since 1980, our population has increased tremendously. Mm-hmm. And at that point, we had that place full you know, most every night.
Really?
Back in the 80s, in the 90s, and
Hmm.
early 2000s, the place was booming. But yet our population has gone up, but our attendance from local people have gone down. Do you think that,
Hmm.
how would you go about getting the community supporting the horse show more? I mean, how would you go about doing that? I've been searching for ideas personally. You know, how do I get people interested just by talking about
Yeah.
it and so forth? But you know, what would you do there, you think?
That's a really hard one because you have to find something that people are interested in. I think
Yeah.
that us really having every other avenues for various programs and other stuff out there where somebody maybe that has to change a little bit. Now, I'm obviously not in control of the celebration stuff, but you know, maybe some other avenues, some other things that are available out in that area on those grounds. I do know that they use the grounds for some stuff, but for just for horse show, you know, participants and things like that. I think the demographic is definitely changing. The interest is in that. You have to kind of look at maybe what's being done in some of the other areas that's where they're being successful, you know, kind of do an analysis of, you know, what is drawing the people in at the time. I mean, for me personally, I look at, you know, obviously we're in the great, you know, music capital out here in Nashville. You see that, you see a lot of people coming out to see the sights, see the music, be a part of that. You know, you could have your own little scene out here. I mean, it could be something simple. I mean, I know the Grindstone, you know, they have a nice little area, have a stage, have some people out there. You know, was most recently at the VFW because I attend out there, and you know they did a big renovation. They've got a stage.
It's nice.
You know, yeah, it's really nice now. They've got stage. They've got people coming in asking, even from outside the areas. You know, they're coming outside of Bedford County to come use their stage at the VFW and to use the building because it's improved upon. And it was something simple like that. They, you know, spent the money, whatever it cost to do that. And I don't think it was an exorbitant amount of money, but, you know, I think they're going to really make it big on that. You know, I mean, nothing crazy, not making millions of dollars, but they're going to definitely recoup their money. And they have a renewed interest, you know, in something that was a simple program out there. So like bringing out a good music area, having a good stage. So maybe some of that stuff might be something worth looking into. Other areas, or they're improving some of the grounds, or I think just Bedford County as a whole being more supportive of the things which are going on. So,
I think you're starting to see a little bit of momentum pick up. I mean, all these different venues, the Grindstone, you mentioned that, the VFW's renovation, that's awesome. And then we've got the town square has improved drastically in the last 10 years. All these things start to add up. All these small, it sounds like small things, but they're pretty big things when you put them together. And with our population has grown, and then the visitors that do come, there's some way, I think, that, I mean, there's a huge opportunity for celebration and the walking horse industry to capitalize off of it. I know the industry has some challenges in itself, but all of these little things that you're mentioning here, to me, I think things look good. I think there's a lot of opportunity.
Yeah, and I think just helping out with just building up of the area is going to overall help with the walking horse industry. You know, I spoke with some people just the other night, you know, and they have 10 horses, you know, and so you're like, wow, that's great. You know, and so obviously they know what they're doing and they got 6 in training. So you're like, okay, you know, I appreciate that work that they're doing and in their industry. But they obviously know what their craft is, you know, and they're doing well in that. And, you know, we've got to continue to support that kind of thing. And I think that, you know, building up things, you know, like on Madison Street, you know, when you're driving down there, you know, how many empty buildings are we seeing? You know, places have been empty for quite some time.
And, you know, you see that in a lot of small towns across this area in the South. You'll see where that old mainstay was vacated and it was pushed to a different area. You look at what's happened. It used to be Madison Street. Okay. Now it's all on 231 North Main. And it just kind of, it left vacant things here. You had Walmart, which was out on the east side of town here on 41A, and you had a Kroger store. All that moved to 231. You see the same thing happen in Tullahoma. You saw it happen in Manchester. You've seen it happen in Lewisburg. All those 50-year ago venues or main traffic flow or the main commercial area was vacated. And all these smaller towns are having the same problems. You've got to do something with those older buildings. It costs a lot of money to renovate. It costs a lot of money to tear down and rebuild. So there's got to be some way. I know there's some towns that have capitalized and slowly built things back up. But I think we've got to do that here too. And I just don't know how you do it. It takes a lot of money. It takes a lot of private investment. So how do you go about getting somebody to want to go into an area of town that's now considered not the high traffic count area and still plan a business and try to renovate? I mean, that's tough. How do you do that?
It's definitely tough for a mom and pop, shop to come in. That's something that I think we've struggled with even in the time that I've been here, that you can see that several businesses have gone into a certain area and haven't survived, then they move on, another business comes in, same type of thing. So you're really going to have a company that's larger, that has that wiggle room for their money, where they can say, okay, we can drop $50K on this building of renovations, and then we can, put something in there. We can continue to work with, that area and kind of promote what they have out there. You can see what, maybe not a 100-year-old building, but, you can look at a building that maybe just needs a little bit of TLC. They come out there and say, okay, here's where our known company is. People are going to come out to that. You already have that customer base that's there. Now, myself, I'm not a coffee drinker, but you can look at like Starbucks, for instance, and you can say, okay, people know where that's at. Or like Chick-fil-A, say, okay, where are the people going to come? Well, you're going to come to Chick-fil-A. Why? Because you know about that. You know what they serve, their stuff. So if they put it on Madison Street, guess where people are going to go? Madison Street.
It's going to take that type. We need 2 or 3 of those things out here on Madison Street to help. And I know this isn't county business, but it affects the county, and it's legitimate problems that we have. And I think you hit the nail on the head. You see these businesses come in and they don't have that financial foundation to just sit it out because it takes some time. You can't just come in 6 months, be flourishing. It takes 18 months, 24 months, 2.5 years.
Takes a while,
and you have to weather that storm, and it's just tough. And I'd like to see some sort of incentive given to people, and that would have to come from the city, but who knows, maybe the county might take something.
Yeah, they can help with that. I mean, there's a lot of different things. The city is here for the county is here for the city. It should be that way. If it's not, they're going to work together. You've opened up a can of worms. I know. I see Mayor Carroll out there at various events. I know him. I think it's just like your county sheriffs and also, working together with the city, police force, like in the city of Shelbyville or in War Trace or something, or Bell Buckle or whatever, they're working with them. They're, on the same path. Or are we on the same team? We're working towards the same goal. That's very essential on that.
I want to ask you this. All right. The city has got a lawsuit against the county. It's been ongoing now for, I guess, 3 years. Okay. I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, oh, man, if I were the mayor of the city, I'd do this. If I were the mayor of the county, I would do this. If you were the mayor of the county and you had this just dropped in your lap, what in the world would you do with that to try to repair that relationship? Because it's stress. It really is, because of lawsuit. What would you do?
Yeah, you have to go back to those relationships, and you have to try to build that in any way that you can. Not obviously means that are illegal or immoral or unethical, but you have to do something together with that person. Just the same as if you're working with your manager at your job, or if it was 2 managers together that are working underneath an executive manager. You're going to have to work together. Myself, I work for the state, so I'm a senior IT manager. I work, senior management. I work with other senior executives. I've done that before. When I was at Boeing, same thing. I'd, work with those senior VPs and stuff. And you can't have that bad blood because the different programs need each other. You're going to need to come back to that executive or to that manager of, and so you're really going to have to repair that. How to do that in this scenario, it's hard. People who are closest to it are going to be the ones that are going to have to kind of make those decisions. I think your new mayor, of course, is going to have to. I said that twice. they're going to have to deal with that, but try to resolve that in a best way possible. I think just going back, analyzing the data, seeing what's there, and kind of what you can do and resolve it without the maximum damage taken, because we can't keep going. It's only hurting relationships. You have to kind of do whatever you can in that scenario. So I think a thorough analysis of that needs to happen with some facts that maybe the general public might not know. And they could say, okay, this is their real pain point. Oh, that's, it could be something simple like, oh man, this guy put a sign out in this area, or man, the guy blocked this road, or whatever, blah, blah, whatever the issue is, they have to kind of come together and try to figure that out.
Yeah. All right. Well, Adam, it's good sitting down with you again and talking in a little bit more length and having a conversation. I wish you the best of luck coming up in the election. People are starting to pay attention to what's going on, I believe.
I think they are. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. I mean, we have the Meet the Candidates events that are happening this month.
All over
a bunch
the place.
of those.
Yeah.
The one at the Egg Center here tomorrow, actually. So that's important for people to know about that and to come out. You got the other couple ones. I mean, Normandy and a Bell Buckle and such. They're happening, so people can get informed. People can get involved, and they can talk with people, even if it's simply just to come out and say, okay, now I know about these mayor candidates. I know about these county commissioner candidates. This is where I can make an informed decision now instead of eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Like, you don't want to do that, especially in this key election, I think.
Yeah. Well, Adam, I think you just sitting down and talking lets people get to know you a little bit more. And I appreciate you coming in and doing this, and wish you the best of luck. And thanks everybody for watching. And we'll be back again soon. Again, thanks.
Awesome. Thanks.
It's been fun.